Uh,
Yeah,
um,
I'll do that.
okay. So first question. What is your favorite track to run on the Cup Series schedule, and which? And so go.
So, I think you said, what's the favorite track to run with the Cup
Yeah.
Series schedule? Is cutting out a little bit. Right now, it's kind of like asking what your favorite movie is. If you answer it, you probably answer a different, 5 days later. But
Yeah.
I, I just there's so many different packages and things we get to do with how cool the Cup Series is now that I think it's impossible to pinpoint one. But you know, for all out just driving hard, Darlington, right? Like Darlington's just it's just
Darlington looks like a fun track. Yeah.
yeah, it is, and it's a different animal, and it's fast, right? Like
Yeah.
Q Trim trying to make the race. It's Indianapolis Oval 5-6 years ago with all the horsepower and no spoiler, right? Like
Yeah.
that was a blast. Bristol's unreal. Atlanta is awesome. Like there's just certain tracks that I get asked this probably once every other week, if not a little bit, more regular, and I really can't answer it the same. Like I can't. There's so many different characteristics to the Cup Series schedule. It's impossible to put it on one.
And follow-up question to that. What do you find to be the hardest track to like for you personally?
Now that I can answer the same every time, not a problem. I suck at road courses, so
Road courses. Okay.
yeah, it's something I never did growing up. I always raced ovals, even with go karts, four
Yeah.
wheelers, everything. It was always ovals, and I've got some 20th place finishes in Xfinity and on different road courses, Roval, Road America, some different things like that. But it's just something I've never felt like I got the hang of. Like I feel
Yeah.
like on ovals that I get, as much out of my car as the next guy can, right? Like it's when I'm on kill, I feel like I've got a lot of experience and I do pretty good with it. But the road course stuff, it's just really difficult. And for me to understand because I don't have any seat time with it. Like I've got 34, 35, 36 years worth of experience on ovals.
Yeah.
And I've got literally maybe 12, 15 road courses to my name in my life. So it's just, that's a really difficult, course or, type racing for me to get ready at this level, like this level is the highest level in the world. So
Yeah, for sure. So your team numbers in Xfinity at least are 578 and 99. Is there any significance either for you or your drivers in those number choices?
yes. So the 99 and the 78 was picked by Jessica and I. That come from my dad had super late models, back in the late 80s that was 76, 77. So I picked 78 when I started racing, and that's what I had on my go-kart, my four-wheeler, everything. So that's where that come from. The 99 was something that I ran for a little bit when we had two cars and super lates, and I just always liked it. So that's why we kept that. And the 5 number actually is for Matt Mills. Matt Mills is the one that, liked the 5 and wanted that. So him and his partners and his family have been really good to our team. And, he asked for it. And I was like, we'll try to do it.
Okay. So what made you want to start a team in Xfinity instead of racing for an established team already?
So it takes a lot of budget to run for a top 10 established team, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't rich. I'm not rich. It's not, if I come in here and spent everything I'd saved over the years on driving a couple races, I may have made it. I may have been gone quick, right? Like you just never really know what the answer is going to be. And I wanted to be here no matter what as an owner, whether I made it as a driver or not. And I only had a chance to do one or the other, right? So
Yeah.
I chose to go the owner route and drive also. And it definitely, I've been here 12 years. I got one top 10 in Cup. That's it, right? Like I've got a million 15s, 12s, 13s, like that kind of stuff. but the success hasn't been there as a driver, and not where I want to be as an owner either. But if I had come in and just tried to drive, I may have made it, I may have not, but I definitely wouldn't have been able to be an owner. And I just didn't want to take that chance. Like, I wanted to make sure we established a team, because I love the sport. I want to be here for a long time, and that's why I went that route. And it's definitely slowed down the driver's side, and it is what it is. But I'm still super thankful and really happy with what I'm able to do, and I still have a lot of years left to try, right? So,
Yeah.
The goal definitely one day is to win an Xfinity race for sure. And you never know, at the speedway races and Cup, like, crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
Maybe we win. But that's definitely the goal as a driver. And then as an owner, we're shooting for, we don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, or 2 years, right? But we want to win a race as an Xfinity team, Cup team, everything. So it's a lot of stuff we're working on week to week to try to make happen.
Yeah. So, what are your top 3 goals at this current moment for the your Cup program?
Right now, it's learn this year, finish, build up inventory, keep making infrastructure stronger. We've got so much work to do to catch the guys we race against. I mean, this series is so difficult, and there's so many successful people here, and just all around, we're just a new team, we're a small team, like, we got everything stacked against us when it comes to that. But that right now is just, we have to dig and work, and it takes time, it takes dedication, and that's where we're at.
And what's it like working with Matt Tift as a business partner and fellow owner?
It's been great. We complement one another on things that I'm weak at, he's good at, things he's weak at, I'm good at, and then we throw Jessica in the mix, and it's like, it's the perfect trio, right? Like, we definitely have what we need to be successful in the future with our 3 minds together. And I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else. Like, there's not even, I wouldn't even try it. Like, this is just too much for one person to do this. And it's just great to have them, help me along the way.
Okay, so what notable differences have you noticed with the next gen car compared to the Gen 6 car that you ran last year?
The first thing is when you sit down in it, and in my opinion, you feel like you're in a super late model. It's so just sporty, and the seats are lower if you want it, right? Like, you can still pick them up, but the seats are lower. There's a ton of headroom in them. The sound is incredible. I know it's a little bit loud to some of the guys, but we've worked on it. We've got it figured out, and got it where it's not too much. And it's just I mean, just I can go on and on about that thing, because it's like, when you're walking up to
it's
it,
just a different beast.
Yeah, it is completely. It's not even close to the same car. Like, not even, I can't tell you one characteristic that I think is like the Gen 6 car. Like, it's just a different animal. And it's so cool that NASCAR was able to make this change, right? Like, it's a big change. It's a risky change. And they had the foresight to engineer it, develop it, work with the teams, and make it all to where we've had some unreal racing to start out the year. Like,
the 503, I was actually there.
It's
the first time. It was an amazing sight to see, packed stands and everything, and great atmosphere. I know you got a 27th place finish there.
We hit a tire. Nobody knew we hit the tire. It was funny because TV didn't cover it, but when the tire and the wheel come off the 50, we hit it. We were the right one, ones right behind, and that's what actually hurt us to be 27th. We were going to have a good. I think we could have finished top 20 easy.
Yeah.
But I clobbered that tire and wheel when it come off. I hit it. I was the first one there. I was only like 10 car lengths behind him when it come off, and nothing you can do around 190. Like, you just go straight if you don't wreck, right? But when I hit that thing, it destroyed the front of my car, and it was a parachute the rest of the day. So we lost a lot of laps. So I think we finished 6 or 7 laps down or something. But it was funny that nobody actually knew we hit it.
Well, that's going to be a good thing for like YouTube to hear now.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. So when you have a bad race day, how do you specifically move on for that and get your mindset prepared for the next race?
Well, so the first thing is like I heard, um, you know, Tom Brady say it one time, and it's like best thing for professional athletes is short-term memory, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't hang on to stuff. Like you got to learn what you can from your mistakes, figure out what you can assess to make better, and leave it behind. It's just that simple. It's a hard process to follow as a person, as a driver, as a passionate racer. It is something that is extremely difficult to manage, but that's the guidelines you have to tell yourself and do the best you can to stick to them. And then obviously for me, having Jessica in the business and also my wife, it's, you know, she fixes me when I'm broken, put it that way. Like, cause this sport's tough, man. Like
Yeah.
it's you run 30th to 35th every week trying to build something. It'll beat you up. Like it isn't fun, but it's something that, you know, with the people around me, and Matt's always in good spirits. I mean, that kid, I love the positivity he keeps around himself, and he always, you know, there's things we have to work through, right? But
Yeah.
he just always has an outlook that makes me, you know, better. So between them two, they get me going.
If you could try any other form of motorsports, what would you like to try?
So if we're gonna assume that you meant I could have a time machine also, just to make this question
Yeah.
interesting, and it is without a doubt 70s F1 racing. Like you go back to that era, I didn't know a thing about it until the movie Rush, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't know. I knew F1. I know how cool it is, how hard it is, like how awesome the cars are. Like I know I watch it every now and then, but I didn't know the history. I had no clue about before the 90s, right? And when that movie come out with James and Nikki, I immediately started digging for documentaries and things to try to learn more about that era, because the cars were just, I mean, they were, you know, you could put it in a pretty rudimentary way, but they were very dangerous. Let's say that. And
Yeah.
these guys, just like the guys that drove the first Cup cars, right? Like, you know, back when the series started, it was very, very dangerous, right? And I just have so much respect for that era of automobile racing, whether it was NASCAR, motorcycles, Cup, you know, F1, like even, like I said, even not automobiles, like everything, the safety just wasn't there, you know,
Yeah, for
in
sure.
those times. And the people that strapped in every week and knew they might not get out of the car, right? Like we still live in that time. Okay, I want to make it clear that what we do is still, it's still dangerous. It's
Yeah.
still, you're still running 200 mile an hour for 3.5 hours, 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
But we've just had so many advancements thanks to a lot of good people that we're not in the same position that the people were through that time period. And the respect I have for what they did, and the just the passion the race through that time definitely outweighed anything else, you know. And I would love the chance to, you know, be there, see that, and if I had a chance to drive it, it'd be insane. Like that,
Yeah.
that'd be the coolest thing ever.
Okay, so kind of a follow-up question to that. If given the opportunity to run in either the Rolex 24 or the Indy 500, would you like to do one of those? And if so, like what team and why?
Absolutely, the 500. I would be more competitive at that because
Yeah.
it's an oval. I'm not developed enough now. If I worked for a couple of years, I might be able to run decent at the Rolex, right? But right now, if it happened this year, it would definitely be the Indianapolis 500. And
Yes.
there's a lot of great owners. I don't want to put it on one right over there, but you know, just to be able to go to that race would be a dream come true, because I've dreamed of that since I was 5 years old, and I am a lot bigger guy than most drivers, so I'd have to cut probably 30-40 pounds to have a shot at it. But it's definitely something that I've thought about in recent years to try to figure out how to do it, but I have too much on my plate right now to try to make it happen.
I've also heard from Matt Benedetto that you have a big ring on your finger and like skull ring, and he said it would leave a mark on his hand until like next week.
Yeah, well, so I wear a big skull necklace, right? I think you can even see
Yeah.
it now. The ring is actually my wedding ring, and
Oh.
it's got rubies on it. It's a very unique ring. I don't have it on today. I was going to work out, so I left it at home. But it it's definitely a unique ring. And I do have a skull ring too that I don't wear all the time that he might have saw, but usually the most unique ring you always see on me is the wedding ring, and it does not look like a wedding ring at all. It's completely different.
Okay, so last question I have is, what advice would you give to an up and coming driver about how to make it in NASCAR who might be watching?
So, basically, there's so many things that take an hour and a half to answer that correctly. But, the number one thing you better have is dedication and determination. Like, without that, you have no chance. I don't care how good you are, how much money you got. Either one or the other, right? Like, have money, don't have talent, don't have money, have talent, right? Like, either way, it takes an entire package. But it doesn't matter if you have both of those and you don't have determination and dedication to the sport, you're not going to get here. Like, it's people that crank those cars up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, including the trucks, they're all good. They all have done good at something. They've all won somewhere. And it is some of the hardest racing you'll ever do in your life. And you just have to, if you want to make it in this sport, you have to be dedicated and never give up. Like, it is unreal how hard it is. And that's what we want, right? Like, that's what we're supposed to have. So that would be, the quickest way I can answer it is, you're going to work hard and you're going to have to stay determined longer than the next guy.
Yeah, I race personally on iRacing, and some of the guys you meet in there, they're like very quick every race, and then like me, I'm like a mid pack guy, but sometimes I'm up front, like like my favorite style of racing, especially on there, is plate tracks.
Yeah.
Like I actually started my own virtual race team and everything, so like
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I think it's cool that people get to do that, right? Because you're not sitting in a real car running around the track, but it is a real talent, another whole skill set to be able to sit down and watch a computer screen and race a car, right? Like, it just, even if you have a moving simulator, it's still difficult. Like, it is. And like you said, there's people that get on there that train and work on this stuff all the time, and they'll annihilate the guy that spends 30 hours a week on versus the guy that spends 60. They're gonna kill the guy that runs 30 hours a week, right? Like, it just and the guy, like, I get on there for fun every now and then. I've used it for road racing to help me with tracks and shift points and stuff. I've never used it for an oval for sim. Like, I just like to go fill the car, right? Because ovals are my thing. But I get on there to have fun, and I can't do nothing. Like, I'm lucky if I can just run a whole race, right? Like, it's crazy how difficult it is. And, and at the same time, people ask me, how realistic do you think iRacing is? And I'm like, the road courses to me are spot on. Okay. You get different answers from different drivers, right? The ovals, for me, the tracks themselves, the way the cars drive, very accurate. It's hard for me to figure out hand-eye coordination versus seat fill, because I drive solely off of seat fill. And when you're sitting in a non-moving simulator, you have you have no way to fill the car, right? And it really is hard to learn the hand-eye coordination to be able to know when you're on the edge, right? Feel the force feedback through the wheel and the pedals, and know what's going on. So, ton of respect for everybody that can handle that stuff and be quick at it.
Like, if I jumped in like one of your Xfinity cars, I probably wouldn't be able to.
Well, it depends, man. You never know. I don't know William's whole story, but I know William didn't do much before age 14, 15, and other than iRace, and he's damn good. So it's you just never know, man. I was a guy that started racing when I was 2.5 years old, and thanks to my parents, I got that, right? Like, I was very fortunate, and I had run probably 600-700 races by the time I was 13, right? Like, I ran a stock car for the first time when I was 13, won my first race at 13, won over 100 super late races, 22 championships, 300 go-kart races. Like, I was very fortunate to be able to do all that before I sat down in NASCAR, right?
Yeah.
And I still haven't, even come close to the success that William Byron has. And he started racing at 15, right? So
Yeah.
you never, you need to do this your whole life, right? Like, I think you need to try, you need to work, and you need to go see what your level is, what your talent, where your talent's at, and develop from there, right? Like, it's something that you can always work on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you joining us today. I'll be posting this on my YouTube channel, and I will send the link out and everything. I'll send it to Autumn, and she can forward it on to you and whatever. Post it on your team's socials or whatever.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Okay.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All righty. Bye.
Bye-bye.